Hi, this is Alessio. Hope you're well. Welcome to this brand new video update on XRP. So many of you have been asking me an update on the XRP situation. So we'll look at this important chart and what this potentially means for the crypto, plus also this particular chart as we look at the potential Elliott wave counts and the likely path for XRP this year in 2025, and especially in the next several weeks and months. All right, guys, join me. Alright guys, welcome back. So before we dig into the chart of XRP and discuss what the potential meanings of this particular chart is and this particular chart over here, I want to ask you a huge favor. If you watched my videos before or if you're watching my videos for the first time, I would really appreciate it if you could actually subscribe. So please hit the subscribe button and also enable notifications so you're notified about any future videos. Okay, let's first of all dig into this particular chart you're seeing here. Now, in my previous video about XRP, I did mention one important thing, which is that as XRP began to rally strongly, especially in 2024, and then broke through the prior highs of 2021, as we can see right there. So that was the breakout that occurred last year in 2024. What happened, and this is really interesting, it is that the MACD indicator, went over the levels, the extreme levels of 2021, but also it has now exceeded the levels where it was at of 2018. By the way, this is a weekly chart of XRP, and I'm using a non-logarithmic chart because non-logarithmic charts can actually offer a better perspective. So that's one important thing which I mentioned before, which is the MACD on XRP on the weekly chart has now gone over, again, extreme levels that it hit in 2021 and 2018. In case you're wondering, well, so what? Well, it just so happened that those extreme MACD momentum readings coincided with tops in the price of XRP, as we can see there. Now, I want to make this very clear. The MACD extreme momentum does not necessarily mean that it's going to be a top in the price, although it is a warning sign. It could be a warning of a potential pullback in the price as well. And that's why I want to look at the next important indicator on the chart, and that is the acceleration extreme. Okay, so this is actually an indicator I developed some years ago to help me with identifying extremes in acceleration in the price. In other words, when the price moves too far, too fast in a given direction. Okay, and essentially this is just another way, it's another important way of looking at extreme overbought, oversold conditions. And we can see here, we recently hit extremes in overbought conditions on the weekly chart. And I like to use this particular indicator on the higher time frame charts, for example, weekly charts. And I also want to be patient and wait for either red, dark red, or indeed magenta type. These purple type sort of signals, because these typically show extremes in acceleration and extreme overbought conditions, like the one we saw, as we can see there, in the year 2021. So notice in the year 2021, as the price rallied really strongly, notice that the acceleration extremes were warning us of a potential top or indeed some kind of a pullback. Okay, same thing happened in the year 2018, as you can see here as well, when the market rallied strongly, when price rallied really strongly in 2017, 2018. And we can see, yeah, there it is. In 2018, we hit extremes in acceleration. Again, the magenta purple types of acceleration. And that was a major warning of a potential top in the price. By the way, guys, let me just say this. I realize there are some people out there who never want to hear anything negative about XRP or any crypto in general. I know you're not one of those people. So I realize that you, as my subscribers, are intelligent and sophisticated people. However, as I'm sure you know, there are some imbeciles out there, some very silly nincompoops, who think the price of XRP can never go down. It can only go up. So let me just say these wise words to those nincompoops.
Shove it up your butt.
Thank you, Stanley. Okay, let's continue. Again, as we see in the past, whenever these types of acceleration extremes have occurred, after the price moves too far, too fast, we've seen likely tops in the price. Extreme warning signs of a potential top in the price. Okay, as we saw also in the year 2018. Now, I should say, this does not necessarily mean that the price is about to top, but it could also warn of a potential pullback in the price. In fact, as I mentioned before, whenever these types of extreme warning signs have occurred in the past, again, both MACD, okay, both the MACD and acceleration extremes, in the past, these have been warning signs of a likely pullback in the price. So if I show you here, in 2018, notice that after we hit extreme overbought conditions, we then pulled back strongly to the 21 weekly moving average, the blue line you see on my chart. The same thing happened in the year 2021. We then pulled back to the weekly 21 moving average. So I think these extreme overbought conditions and warning signs we see on the acceleration extremes and on the MACD are indicating that it's quite probable that we could see some kind of a pullback to the weekly 21 moving average on the chart, which is slowly catching up with the price there. Again, it's a moving average. That's what I think is quite probable here as well. In fact, I'll give you one more reason why there could be a likely pullback to the 21 weekly moving average in just a few minutes. But I should say, to initiate a pullback to the weekly 21 moving average, what I would like to see first of all is a break of support. Okay, so for example, look at where support is. That's the recent low we made on XRP at about 2.65. All right, that's a recent low we made in January. The January lows. XRP would have to break first that support at 2.65 to make it likely that we're going to see a pullback to the weekly 21 moving average. Which, by the way, as I mentioned, this weekly 21 is slowly catching up with the price. It's moving higher and higher. So perhaps in a week or two, this 21 weekly moving average could be here, just near the previous support we had in late December, early January, at about the $2 level there. Okay. So in other words, what I think is quite probable is that once XRP breaks below support at this grayish line, again at 2.65, that makes it more likely for it to move down to the 21 weekly moving average, that blue line, which again is catching up with the price. And as I said, in a few weeks, it could be well within this region. Okay, so that I think, by the way, I should say that I think the higher probability is, even if XRP were to extend a bit higher, I mean, that is possible. So even if XRP was to grind a bit higher, let's say to 3.5 or 3.8 or whatever, the bottom line is the higher probability is that eventually we're going to see a drop back down below support and back down to the 21 weekly moving average. And personally, I think once price breaks down below 2.65 here, the support, that would make it much more likely for a drop down, maybe even to retest the prior highs that we made in 2021, which would be support here about the $2 1.99 level, just near the 21 weekly moving average. Again, based on what I'm seeing on the charts, I think a pullback in the price is much more likely. Now, the final chart that I want to discuss with you are the potential Elliott wave counts on XRP. So what we can see here on this chart is that XRP very likely has formed an A wave here, an A wave rally, which was then followed by a B wave drop. Okay, by the way, one of the reasons why I think this was an A wave followed by a B wave is look at the overlapping structure. So whenever you see these overlapping structures, again, very messy, choppy movements. So look at over here. This is a very choppy movement in the price, where price just overlaps one another. You see this? This is completely different from an impulsive structure. Impulsive structures do not overlap, but when you see a lot of overlapping structures like this, okay, this is indicative of a corrective structure, of a corrective wave. And the same thing with this drop here as well. Lots of overlapping, choppy, sideways movement here as well. So to me, this was a likely A wave, B wave, and following the B wave, what we're dealing with is a C wave. Now, C waves are impulsive structures, which is what you can see, hardly any overlaps here, especially between waves 2 and 4. Okay, so this is our likely C wave. Okay, and in other words, if we're dealing with a C wave, so this would be our wave 1, wave 2. Wave 2, as we know, are highly corrective structures, which was then followed by a large, massive wave 3. Okay, taking us much higher above the $2 level here, and then followed by a wave 4 correction. Okay, and after wave 4, we have our wave 5. The question is, if this is our likely wave 5, has wave 5 now completed and topped? At the moment here, I don't see a sign of a top in the wave 5. Okay, so we had our, again, after the wave 4 correction, we have started our wave 5. Now, I should mention, what I'm talking about is the wave 5 in the C wave. Okay, so if this is our large C wave, within the C wave, we have 5 waves, as we can see there in the white numbers. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the big question is, have we completed wave 5? At the moment, as I mentioned before, as yet, I do not see a sign of a top in wave 5, as long as we're above 2.65. So, as I mentioned earlier, just to repeat this point, as long as XRP stays above 2.65, as yet, there is no sign of a top in the wave 5. Okay, and by the way, for a wave 5 to top, I would need to see 2 things. First, a break of 2.65, and finally, a break below this important support at 1.99. 1.99 or 1.96. Why 1.96? Because if we just go back a bit here, notice that that level is the 2021 high. So you can see it for yourself there very clearly. That high of 2021 is now support on XRP. Okay, so if XRP is going to show to us that it's going to top in the C wave of this larger degree ABC pattern, what needs to happen is not just a break of 2.65, but also a break of this important support as well. So we would need to see a break of the $2 or 1.99, 1.96 support before we can say that is a top in the C wave. So just to make it very simple, what I'm saying is if XRP in the next several weeks and months was to drop below this important supporting structure, which by the way is the highs also of 2021, if we saw a drop below that important supporting structure, right there, you see in red, if that happens, then that would indicate a potential top in the C wave, which has been already warned to us by this chart you're seeing here. Okay, so in other words, keeping it simple, let's see what XRP does in the next several weeks. I think a pullback, as I mentioned, I think a pullback to the 21 weekly, as you can see there on the chart. So I think that pullback to the 21 weekly, that's blue line on the chart right there, I think that's quite probable. Again, the blue line is not static, it's moving, it's dynamic. So I think eventually there's going to be a meeting between the price and the 21 weekly in the next several weeks. And also, I think sometime this year, perhaps in the next several months, we're going to see a completion of this 5-wave structure in the C wave. All right, guys, thank you very much indeed for watching this video. Let me also mention that we cover the chart of Bitcoin, stock markets, and gold in much more detail in the member videos. And I look forward to seeing the next video update. Thanks so much indeed. Bye for now.